man is back.
Oh, my gosh, the red got messed up. This is a 5 out of freaking 5.
It is beat making time.
Next week is E3 week. My album comes out next week.
I have delivered. You know what I'm saying? It's true. You know what I'm saying? But oh, look at that! Oh my God!
This is your boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube citizens, y'all know who this is. This is your boy, That's the True Inferno. Back at it with another Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War commentary video for you guys. And as promised last week, I got this topic for you guys right here. Now, this topic was recorded a week ago, but I didn't release it a week ago because there was another topic that came out that took top priority. And y'all know what it is. It's about the whole Rachel Nichols, Maria Taylor situation. So I had to talk about that first. That took top priority last week. Now, the reason why I recorded this video last week as opposed to me recording it this week is because the news broke last week and it's fresh on my mind at that point in time than it would be when I released this video. That's why I recorded this video last week, but I'm now releasing it this week. And I didn't want to release two videos like this, you know, Call of Duty videos in the same week. So there you go with that. So let's get on with this topic. So out the blue on one Tuesday morning, US time that is, Nintendo dropped news about the OLED version of the Nintendo Switch. So there's two colorways for this at this point in time. You can either get the Panda version, which is basically all white and black, or you get the neon red and blue version where the system be black, but the controllers are still red and blue, you know, like the original Switch. Now the screen is like the Switch itself, the system itself, the handheld portion, whatever, it's still the same size. It's just that the screen is a little bit bigger, so there's not a lot of the bezel on it. It's a little bit of the bezel that is still on there, but not as much as it is on the original Switch. So there's that. There's also got a wire Ethernet port in the back, and they removed a USB port as well, so that's interesting. The audio is enhanced, whatever that means. So basically it's like slightly bigger speakers, whatever the case may be. The kickstand is much better on the OLED version than it is on the original Switch version. I'll be honest, the kickstand on that one was horrible. But in this version, yeah, it's much better because you can now adjust it on more than one viewing setup. Whereas with the original, it was like one spot. Like you put this kickstand up, and it's only in that one position. Whereas with the newer Switch, you can put the kickstand and set your Switch up on multiple positions to watch and play wherever. And of course, they got the all-right controllers as well. And the dock, the logo, the Nintendo Switch logo apparently lights up. So that's pretty cool. I want the dock by itself. Like they need to sell the dock by itself. If they do that, I would get the dock. So I'll get that straight. Let's get that straight. So all this coming out October 8th, the same day as the new Metroid game coming out, Metroid Dread or whatever it's called. That game drops along with the system on the same day, which is October 8th. So there's a good chance there might be a Metroid version of that system coming out, and it might cost like $400. I doubt it. Maybe $420, maybe $450 to be honest, and then add some extra stuff in there to try and make up for the cost, because the game is going to be $60 and the system is going to be $350. So that's $410. So they're not going to cut $10 off. Instead, they're going to add some additional BS and say, oh, this stuff is worth $40, so that's why it's $450. I can see them doing that. So here's the thing about this Switch. If some of you guys are confused and actually believe, hey, this OLED version, that's the Super Nintendo Switch or that's the Nintendo Switch Pro, that's not what this is. They still got the same specs. Oh, there's actually one more thing. It holds double the memory. So it holds 64 gigabytes of memory as opposed to the original Switch, which is 32, which is, okay, it's better, but it's still garbage because you can probably hold up to like, what, 2 or 3 more games than the original Switch, where you can probably hold up to like 1 or 2, whatever the case may be. You still need a memory stick, a memory card of some kind to go in that system. So the low storage, the low memory storage is still an issue there. Now, in terms of the whole, oh, this is the Nintendo Switch Pro or the Super Nintendo Switch, no, that's not what this is. This is just another version of the original Switch. You know, it's basically about the OLED screen. That's pretty much it. The specs on the system, there's nothing special about it. You know, games that are being released for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, they will not look as good on this Nintendo Switch. So that is still a problem. Now, they might, and you know, they might go away from third-party developers if this is their move. But I'll be honest, nobody was asking for this. Nobody was asking for this. Yeah, there's some people who are excited for it. Why they're excited for it, I have no idea, to be honest. But there are some people who are excited for it. But this ain't the system nobody was asking for. This ain't it. This ain't it. And the reason why this ain't it is because it won't compete with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X when it comes to graphics and performance. And again, these third-party developers, they're making games for these better systems. There's no way that they're going to lower themselves to make a game that is going to be on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, but then lower the performance of the game so it can be on this Nintendo Switch, on either that version or the other, or any version of Nintendo Switch. They ain't doing it. They are not doing it. And if they do it, I don't know why, but they're not going to do it. So this right here is still a problem. Again, they might be going away from third-party developer support, or like not go away completely, but like don't rely on it as much, because you know they gotta focus on their Marios, they gotta focus on their Kirby's, they gotta focus on their Yoshis, even though Yoshi the homie, but you get the drill, you know, and stuff like that. And they don't even focus on all their properties, like, you know, Metroid. They only doing this because people been asking about it. What about that Bayonetta 3? What about the Bombermans? What about the, well, obviously they got Zelda, but what about the Donkey Kongs and all these other first-party games that was under Nintendo that they're not pushing, that they haven't pushed in years? But that's beside the point. In terms of this system, though, again, this ain't it. This ain't it. So here's the thing. I think $350 is too much for a system that is basically the same as the original Switch. The only difference is it have a better screen. That's it. That's the only thing, pretty much. You have a better screen, because with the whole, oh, it now have a wired Ethernet port in the back. Like, they have a separate device for that. I got one actually, and you can just plug it up to the back with the Ethernet, and then boom, you're good. The extra memory, that's not saying much when it can only hold up to like what, 3, 4, 5 games with the 64 gig, as opposed to the 32 gig where it can only hold up what, 1 or 2 games. So that's not saying much either. The dock lighting up, again, I like that. I think that's a cool feature. That should have been a feature that should have been on the original Switch as well. That kickstand, that should have been on the original Switch as well. And you might say, oh, what about the colors? Well, that's the color that should have been released for the original Switch as well. So a lot of stuff that's on this version should have been released on the Nintendo Switch, including the OLED screen. So real talk, I truly believe that this system should be $300 and the original Nintendo Switch should be lowered. It should be, because let's be real, they're going to phase the original Switch out and have people, you know, transition over to this Switch. So if you haven't gotten Nintendo Switch yet, they're going to want you to get this OLED version as opposed to the original version, or even the Switch Lite. They might still push the Switch Lite because of the whole portability portion, even though all of these systems have portability. But they're not going to like completely get rid of the Switch Lite. The original Switch, I think they're going to try to phase away from that and have people get the OLED version, assuming they don't have a Switch already. Now, why did I say if they don't have a Switch already? In my opinion, I think it makes no sense for me personally to get another version of the Nintendo Switch. I already have one. So there's no need for me to get this version. I think it's a waste of money for me to get this version of the Nintendo Switch when I already have one. And I think it's the same for everybody. If you have a Nintendo Switch already, I don't think it's worth you getting this version. Now, if you want to trade it in towards this version, I mean, well, you can do that. I have no problem with that. But if you want to keep your original version and then get this OLED version, I think that's stupid. I'll be honest. I think that's completely dumb. So that's my stance on this OLED version of the Nintendo Switch. This is not the system nobody was asking for. This ain't it. This ain't going to compete with the Xbox Series X on the PS5 in terms of performance and in terms of graphics. Because again, these third-party developers, they're going to be making games more suited towards those systems, and they're not going to downgrade their game so they can play on the Switch. Now, a lot of them are going to do that. You know, the sports games will do that. The Just Dance will do that. But, you know, all these other games, they're not going to do that. And if Nintendo wants to maintain that third-party support, they got to come out with an updated version of the Switch. So again, the Super Nintendo Switch, the Switch Pro, or a brand new Nintendo system. But more likely, it won't be a brand new Nintendo system because they just released this. And this joint won't come out until October. So keep that in mind as well. Now, they might do the same thing that Microsoft had done in the past. You know, obviously, we got the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, which is, you know, the S is the weaker version of the X. So Nintendo might do that here as well. So they might say, oh, well, we got the OLED version. But then probably a month from now, they're going to reveal the Super Nintendo Switch. And that's going to come out on the same day or the month after the OLED version of the Switch. So who knows? That might still be a thing. I doubt it because Nintendo never done anything like that before, in my opinion. So I think Nintendo dropped the ball on this one. And I'm going to call it a wrap. And with all that said, y'all know who this is. This is boy New Jack Aspie, aka New Stephen A. Smith, saying peace out, y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Yeah.